Hi guys, we're back. Welcome to another episode of Sessions. So this is a continuation to part uno. So if you haven't watched it, please do. So today we're going to talk about the Latino culture and sexuality. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do. You can just press the button that says subscribe and welcome to Sessions. So guys, I am here with Gabriela and Stephanie, and we're going to talk about sex. So, ladies, talk to me. Talk to me.
What do you mean? Latinos don't talk about sex.
Exactly. It's taboo.
Okay, let's start there.
Yes, and that's a very interesting.
They tell us as Latina women to quiet down our sexuality. No te pongas eso. Don't wear that. What are others going to think? And if somebody touches you in the bus, I told you, what time were you out? Or why were you wearing that skirt? Implying that we did something to cause it, right? And so talk to me, you guys, how did all of these messages, because we're taught to quiet down our sexuality, yet my tias told me, if you're not having sex with your husband, he's gonna find it elsewhere. So now sex becomes an obligation versus a free choice. And in my practice, you guys, I see so many women that have sex when they don't want to. And what happens is that you start to associate sex to a negative experience. And then they end up in my office saying that it's about low desire, but it's a whole different problem. So guys, what do you think? Let's unpack that box of Latin culture, sexuality, and marriage, relationships. Man, talk to me.
You know, Pao, making reference to that last comment that you made in regards to women are the ones that promote something bad happening to them, or you know, like maybe a man seeing them in a different way. I remember watching a politician, a female politician from back home, actually in Colombia, that she was making reference to women allow rapers to, like, they are pretty much like looking for this situation to happen to them. It's like, oh, women let rapers rape them because they do such and such. And it's just so amazing to me that now we maybe, what about a man like not wearing a shirt or something? Like, it could be probably something that can be, you know, changed in the way society thinks, because we women are seen like a completely different phenomenon. And I don't understand why it has been like that for so many years now. When I was growing up as a teenager, you know, that you know, it's probably the time that you start discovering your sexual desires and orientation and all that. I remember I couldn't talk to my mom about it. And mind you, my mom is a physician back home. And it's like I would feel maybe probably comfortable talking to somebody that also knows the science of it, I guess, in a way, but that was completely taboo. Like, I couldn't have a conversation with her. And honestly, until right now, the most conversation we probably have about sex is like, what kind of contraception pills or whatever are you taking, and are you making sure you're taking care of yourself? But that's it. We don't have any deeper conversation about it.
And don't you get pregnant or get an STD, but how the hell does that happen?
Believe me, exactly.
If we don't have sex,
exactly,
how does that happen?
No, and you know what? That was something that I was super, like, always like traumatized, I guess.
It's traumatizing.
Because I would be like, oh my God, I don't want to get pregnant, but then again, like, you don't really have much information unless, you know, maybe for me personally, had maybe conversations with my other female friends that maybe probably were a little older and had a little bit more experience, but who knows better, you know?
Right.
Exactly. And when I had my first intercourse experience, I felt as if I was a little, this is crazy to me, but as if I was dirty,
dirty,
young woman, you know, for experiencing that and for having that. And like you're saying, sometimes we grow up and we just think maybe we've changed that mentality over the years, and maybe because we've come to this country, but that we have to be the ones making sure that we give a pleasure to our partners.
Exactly, Gabby, what
And that's exactly.
But we're not the same. Biology says we have different set of hormones, right? So the guy has to be the pursuer, not always, but for the most part. And then the girl has to be, you know, kind of like
The
locking it
receiver,
down, you know, like, for example, like the eggs in the ovaries, you know, so we are the egg, we sit cute and pretty, and then all the sperms come to us. A lot of things happen when we try to be the sperms, right? When we go and pursue and we try to penetrate and we go after and we like, I did a lot of feminine work and masculine work after my divorce. And I think like they say that for a reason, you know, because guys, when they come, you know, they have the life force, they detach. We create a different set of hormones and we get attached to our partner. So just biology, by biology, we're not the same chemically speaking brain. I mean, like, for example, like if you're looking at Manhattan and New Jersey, like women have 8 bridges, right, to go back and forth, like that fast. Guys have 4 bridges to go back and forth. So, you know, like left brain, right brain, and then different set of hormones, and it's just biology. Now, I don't want to say that my grandma, your mom, my mom, your uncle, your aunt was right? We don't provoke anything. But I want to say 50-50, you know, like, ¿cómo se dice? Like the narrative, right? We're supposed to break the chains of reaction of like our generations, right? So the narrative is that, you know, the guy, you know, we provoke the guy, we control, we do this, we do that. You know, up to a point, because, you know, yes, this is taboo and we want to be equal, but we're not. We're never going to be, by the way. Men, women, 2 different things, right? So at what point you draw the line, la raya, you know what I mean? Because we're never going to be the same as far as like, oh, I'm going to pursue a guy and I'm going to get the same level of satisfaction chemically in my brain. You know what I mean? I will not. Now, chemically speaking, the guy will get a completely different set of reactions. So the guy warms up from here to here to here, and the woman warms up from here to here to there. So it's a different chain of set of reactions.
Yes. But I almost wonder, right? Like, because I think, have we been socialized to think that we're very different? I hear you, and I can attach to that from a sex therapy. Well, from a sex therapy perspective, though, because I think, you know, the one thing that we don't talk about enough is desire, right? Like, man's desire can be somewhat simple. Not all men, though, right? Because we're socialized to think that, you know, men are always ready and they always want to have sex. And a lot of men struggle that don't have that type of desire. They need to be emotionally connected. They need to be vulnerable. I've met many of them in my practice, right? And so I think what you're talking about is desire, right? Like, women, and I always use the analogy of a restaurant. So when we go to a restaurant, the man, you know, his filet mignon, main course, that's what I'm going, the steak, the deliciousness. Women were like, ooh, the music is kind of nice.
Yes.
And the smells and the appetizers, you know, so it's a whole story.
The whole experience.
Right? So I get what you're saying, Gabby, and I can see, right, different schools of thoughts, but always like coming to the same understanding. But I think, you know, when it comes to, I think when we think a little bit about sexual assault, when we think about, you know, what you said, that politician woman, it's like, these are the messages that we get. And it also affects men. Guys, do you know how many men have been sexually abused as boys? I have never talked about 100%. It is underreported, right? And then,
even in their own families. That's crazy.
And then I have a lot of men that come to me and they're like, I talk to, what is your first time? Well, I was like 7 and, you know, this, you know, 15-year-old was messing with me. I'm like, okay, guys, we have to talk about this and we have to label it as it is. This is abuse. No, but I liked it. Que chévere. You know, a woman taught me how to be and she introduced me to all these things. So imagine, right? So I think I understand what that means. And I think, you guys, it's understanding it from, you guys, we're here because I want help you see this from different lenses. Right? And I wonder, you guys, as you develop the sexual women, Gabby, you know, you were telling me earlier that you're dating younger guys, right?
I am. The cougar complex.
So anybody that's out there. But anyways, but what have you found through your encounters? What do you think? You know, and I love that you said, and you know, one of the things that I love about both of these women is that they're really authentic, which is a rare species nowadays. And they say how it is. And Gabriela, you know, she's like, I was promiscuous.
Yes.
And for people that want, because we're taught, don't have sex on the first date because they're gonna think that you're, but why? If your body's telling you, if you're having a good time, if you're, why is that a bad thing?
Exactly.
Right? So I think you guys giving yourself the freedom to be able to do that, at the same time understanding your values, right? Because you're holding the duality.
Exactly.
Right.
I can be this person, but I also value a family, and I don't want to do the same thing because that's not who you are, Gabriela.
Exactly.
You know, you're changing and you're evolving. Since I met you, I've seen you change and
And at
evolve.
the same time, those experiences allow you to discover yourself and what you want and what you are willing to do in a future, you know, with someone that you value and that values you at the same time.
Exactly. Well, after being married for almost 10 years and having bad sex, I can tell you.
What would you say bad sex was?
Okay, missionary, nothing new, no toys, nothing. So I discovered my first sex toy with my boy toy after my divorce.
How
right?
would you
In my
define a
30s.
boy? How would you define a boy toy?
Someone younger that is really good at fucking me?
Okay.
Can we say that?
I think we can.
Oops.
And now, like, you know, in my mid-30s, so I'm hormonally
Ready.
my prime. So a guy that, like, after 35, he's producing less testosterone, can just not quite keep up with me. You know what I mean? Now, a 27, 28, 29-year-old,
It's a different story.
we're both in our primes. And he's not as jaded as a 45-year-old, for example, who is, like, appropriate to date me, right? So someone to settle down with would be someone, you know, in their 40s, you know, hormonally speaking, not in their prime. I'm in my sexual prime. Sex is very important to me now because I didn't have a lot of it.
Exactly.
A good quality of it back then. So now it has become a priority because it gives me, like, a sense of self-awareness, self-exploration, you know, and, like, you know, before I was Catholic, so, like, you shouldn't have sex unless, like, you're with someone about to get married. So yeah, I mean, it was very recent, just a couple years ago, that I discovered sex toys. Maybe, like, I didn't even know what, like, a open relationship was, or like a unicorn, or sex clubs, or swinger clubs. Just a couple years ago, I discovered it.
Masturbation, ladies.
Oh, masturbation.
Let's talk about masturbation, right? Because there's something that you said, Gabby, that when we think a little bit about, like, men that are a little bit machistas, and there are women that are machistas too,
100%.
right? Like, but men that are machistas, that, you know, you want to bring in a toy and it's like, oh, he's my competitor. Guys, a vibrator will never do what, a penis can never do what a vibrator does, which is totally fine. It enhances. It's not a competition. It enhances. But let's talk really quick, you guys. Masturbation. Did anybody in your family ever talk to you about masturbation?
Never.
Never.
No, and one thing that I believe is that, honestly, maybe at the very beginning, after, in my personal situation, having my first sexual experience, I never thought of it. Like, okay, I'm now starting my sexual life, and mind you, I started it with a boyfriend. We were already in a 2-year relationship. It ended up lasting 4 years. And it was a very special, you know, situation where how it happened and how it, and who it was with. But I never thought of, like, self-discovering in as far as, like, that aspect. And as, you know, years went by, like Gabby is saying, I also started, you know, discovering what I wanted in sex, and started having different experiences and situations because I really wanted to have that experience. But nowadays I know and I understand that both men and women, they expect that, you know, your partner gives you pleasure, but if you don't take care of your own pleasure first, it's just so important, and you don't know how to ask for it.
Exactly.
And maybe you're gonna end up being probably frustrated because maybe if that other person doesn't know how to give you pleasure, then the expectations are way too high and you don't even know yourself.
And I ask all my guys, go on a clitoral expedition. Guys, clitoris are like penises. They're all different size, shapes, sensitivity, etc. Gabby, what would you like people to know about masturbation?
Clitoris is fine, sure. But the G-spot, okay, like tantric sex. There's 9 sides of the penis, same thing with the vagina. Clitoris is great. It's like having a sneeze. The G-spot is like the full flu. Actually, not like COVID, right? So if you know how to, and guys, it's not like this. No, it's like this. Tick, 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 tick.
Yeah.
Knock
Like
on the
come
door.
here motion.
Yeah, like
Come
that,
here motion.
exactly.
Would you like, so let's see if you can show
She's
us.
like, actually,
Gabby, so
now
we're
that
gonna
I
bring
talk
in
about it.
Lola.
Focus, guys, focus.
Let's see if we can show.
Okay.
So
The clit
Gabby,
is
show
great,
us.
right? Now, this is like a sneeze.
Show to come.
And then, depending on which finger you use, it could be any. Then you go like this, not like this. No, like this.
Not like hammer time.
No, it's like tuck, 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 tuck. And then when you feel, not the outer lips, but the inner lips, swallow your finger, you're doing it right. Okay?
Yes, guys, and I would
You're
say
gonna see the
because you know,
faces.
I think this was oh my God, I can't remember her name. Betty. She was the one that started to talk about in the sex therapy world about the G-spot. She said when you go at something with a goal in mind, you miss a lot of pleasure along the way. So as you're looking for it, they'll be like, okay, today we're gonna find the G-spot. No. Right? First, try to with yourself. And one of the good ways for women is, you know, putting your knees in your chest, kind of like if you were squatting, right? And trying it yourself to see where it's at. Just focus on a part of your vulva that feels a little bit different. And that's a great way to start. Guys, thank you so much.
Thank
Oh
you
my
so
gosh, thank you so much for joining.
You guys, remember, Sessions, I'm sure we're going to see these wonderful ladies again. Don't forget to subscribe. Bienvenidos. Muchas gracias. Gracias a todos. And we'll see you soon. Bye.